Three Count Thursday is sponsored by Arena Eats. Log on to the website arenaeats.app. That's arenaeats.app for the ultimate fan experience. At your favorite sports venue, Arena Eats mobile app, pre-order, express pickup, and in-seat delivery. How do you place your order?
The World Wrestling Federation, for over 50 years, the revolutionary force in sports entertainment.
Oh, it's live, pal.
We're really glad that you're our friend, and this is a friendship that'll never, ever end.
Everybody three count. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3.
Or maybe The Rock has got to beat Triple H himself, which means he's got to beat the game in the middle of the ring. And he has a $2 for a wife.
You're too damn selfish, and that's why you're sitting there with a bad leg, and that's why I kicked your leg out of your leg.
You guys talk about being students of the game. I am the game, JR.
3 ain't enough now. I need 5. Welcome in Jim, Ryan, Matt, Tim, and intern Mark.
Oh my goodness, what do we do? There's a 1. There's a 2. Oh,
wow.
Well, you can take that brass ring and shove it up your ass.
Welcome, everyone. 3 Count Thursday, live here on Facebook, on Periscope, and also on our YouTube channel. If you're joining us for the first time, we welcome you in. If you're joining us for however many times you've joined us, we welcome you back to the show. It is the first day of October here in 2020, October the 1st. We are getting closer to the end of the year, and if you're me, that feels like a good thing. We only got 3 months left in 2020, so throw some likes, throw some comments, and get in on the action here with us tonight. We have tons to talk about, including closing out the Clash, Ask Us Anything, and is it working out for the working man? But first, make sure you go to our website, 3countthursday.com. You can find all of our social media links there, as well as our merchandise at whatamaneuver.net. There's no Tim. There's our Patreon channel. And our home network, of course, NGSC Sports, and we are brought to you by Arena Eats via NGSC Sports. And also, you can stream us daily at leapsports.com. Ryan? Nope, no Ryan either. LEEIBsports.com. And, yeah, no Ryan this week. He warned us the other day. Tim out as well, but Matt and Mark are with me here, and we're glad to be with you. Here on a Thursday night. Matt,
How you doing?
I'm doing well. I'm ready for this weekend. Have family coming into town, so it'll be good to see everyone. So I'm ready to wind down, kind of coast through Friday. Tied up most loose ends at work, so fingers crossed. Easy Friday into the weekend here.
all right, real good. And intern Mark.
How you doing?
Hey, Jim, I'm doing better than I should be. I'm doing real good. Thanks for having me back.
Good. Well, we're glad you're with us. Whatever you're drinking with us tonight as well. Let us know in the comments if you're enjoying an adult beverage, if you're just enjoying any type of beverage. Let us know and interact with us here. We have a few listeners in with us, Nikki and Devin. Devin says, "What's up?" Nikki says, "Hello, guys." We're glad to have you with us here on a Thursday night, and give it a like, give it a share if you're following along with us. We'd appreciate that. Let's jump right into it, guys, with our weekly segment.
On this day.
3 birthdays on October the 1st. Hector Guerrero and Curtis Axel, both born in 1979. And Robbie E. in 1983. And then got a few things that happened.
On this day.
Back in 1980.
That old.
Yeah, I was kind of surprised when I saw that one. I did not expect him
On the
to
wrong
be.
side of 40.
He most certainly is. But in 1985, Rick McGraw appeared on Piper's Pit during a WWF television taping in Poughkeepsie, New York, questioning why Roddy Piper never wrestled on television. It set up a match between the two at the next TV taping later in October. Piper pinning McGraw after a vicious series of neck breakers. McGraw taken out on a stretcher. Unfortunately, then McGraw died on November the 1st, the same weekend that the match with Piper aired in most television markets. So a sad one to kick it off. Also, 1992, Kerry Von Erich is sentenced on 6 felony counts of prescription forgery. He receives a 10-year suspended sentence, 10 years supervised probation, and a $6,000 fine. 4 months later, he would violate probation, get indicted on a cocaine possession charge, facing certain jail time. Of course, we know the unfortunate end to that story. He committed suicide. Then we move all the way up to 2000. ECW holds their final Anarchy Rules pay-per-view at the Roy Wilkins Auditorium in St. Paul, Minnesota, drawing over 4,500 fans for a show headlined by Jerry Lynn winning the ECW World Heavyweight title from Just Incredible in front of his hometown fans. 2004, PWInsider.com elite member Chris Catanzee sent word that WWE 24/7 launched on cable provider, and you guys will probably know this name, Blue Ridge Cable in Pennsylvania for $6.95 a month. It was the first quiet rollout for the video on demand service, which launched with material available. Of course, that was the very beginning of what would eventually become the award-winning WWE Network. 2006, Michael P.S. Hayes replaced Alex Greenfield as the lead SmackDown writer. Greenfield gave the company notice as he had several screenplays about to go into production. And then finally, in 2009, the first trailer for Dwayne Johnson's family comedy, and I'm pretty sure Ryan's favorite movie, The Tooth Fairy, was released. So these are all the things that happened October the 1st.
What was the name of that, the former writer who had multiple screenplays?
Alex Greenfield.
Okay.
Does it ring a bell at all?
No, I'm looking into this.
Devin says he's drinking a Coca-Cola slushie. That sounds tasty. That I've always enjoyed the slushies. So again, if you're following along with us in the live video, give it a like and a share. We'd appreciate that. And if you missed on Tuesday, Ryan, Tim, and I had kind of gave a long form review of WWE Clash of Champions. So we're not going to go long form on this one, but since he's not here, I'm supposed to relay Matt. Ryan tends to believe that now I don't know if this is true or not, that you had gotten a leaked script for Monday Night Raw and saw that Shane McMahon and Raw Underground were not going to be on the show. And that's why you were very upset on Sunday and kind of poo-pooed the ending of the Universal title match. Can you?
I didn't poo-poo anything. You're not allowed to. This is 3 Count Thursday. Best ending to a pay-per-view I've ever seen in my life.
See, I like you. You're finally starting to put the pieces together.
Before we get there, here are the multiple films that we had in the works. Street Warrior. You know that one. Jack's Family Adventure. The Temple.
Who the hell is this?
10.0 Earthquake.
What the hell is even that?
The Cookie Mobster.
Holy Jesus.
The Sand.
What the fuck is that?
Finally, Diagnosis Delicious.
What? Boy, it's a good thing he walked away from SmackDown fat.
Yeah,
you gotta take those dreams.
Great career choice there, pal. Great career choice. I mean, maybe
to be fair, they all got made. So
well,
I mean,
that's fair.
He at least collected a check for those films.
What was that one about Delicious? What was that called?
Diagnosis Delicious.
Diagnosis
Delicious.
Delicious. Yeah, I've never
Classic.
I've never heard of those, but
That's actually Ryan's third favorite movie behind Tooth Fairy and Not Another Teen Movie.
yeah. You know, not another teen movie hung up there for a while, but once
slowly got replaced.
Once the Tooth Fairy came out, Ryan just bought in completely to that one, and I don't know if he wants me to reveal this, but I'm pretty sure. Like I've heard people do this for like Star Wars and like certain like some of the Marvel movies. They'll go like every week or every other week that the movie's in theaters. Ryan went every Sunday afternoon to the Tooth Fairy while it was in theaters, and I said, Ryan, you can just wait till it comes out on DVD. And he said, no. This is far too great of a film for me to let it pass. So I have to stay committed to watching it in the theater as long as I can.
I mean, at least he went like for the matinee price.
Yeah,
so he had that going for him.
He's thrifty.
Yeah, Sunday afternoon, he got up, would have a nice little brunch. Then he made his way down to the movie theater, got his popcorn and his soda. So, but hey, The Rock may not have become the movie star that we know him as now if it wasn't for Ryan and the success of the Tooth Fairy. So
that's true. You really bolstered the box office success of that film.
Yeah, it had like 3 every week instead of 2. All right. So,
didn't Ryan dress up in like fairy wings as well? He was kind of like a cosplayer for that.
He did have a cosplay situation going on too.
At least for a few of the screenings, if I recall correctly.
That sounds right. That sounds entirely accurate.
He also cosplayed because when he went and saw the midnight premiere of The Game Plan starring The Rock and wore his like football jersey.
That was football jersey on. I remember that.
But that one didn't
bad.
That one didn't hold up as much to him. He only saw it at the midnight premiere, and that was it.
And then he was like, okay, whatever. Yeah, sure. They win the game, and his daughter's happy. Cool. But that Tooth Fairy.
Spoilers, Jim. Spoilers.
All right. Iron Man dies. Woo-hoo! I'm reckless tonight. So yeah, Sunday. Obviously, we look back at Clash of Champions, and if you want to hear our long form review of it, it's on all of our social media. It's on our YouTube, and it's on the podcast feed. But if you're following along with us, let us know what was your grade for the show, and maybe what was your favorite match from the show. For me, I mean, I think I don't have my sheet in front of me, but I'm pretty sure that based on my grading system, my grade for the show came out to a B, and I think that's a solid grade for it. I thought the opener was fantastic, like 100. I gave that an A+. The main event I gave an A+. There's a couple B's and C's throughout the card. Nothing horrible. I think this is probably one of the best, if not the best, show in the empty arena era. But for me, the best match of that was the main event. I thought the storytelling throughout and all of that was just absolutely spectacular. Matt, your quick thoughts here on Clash of Champions.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. I did like it a lot. I know, the joke earlier. I did not like the whole throwing in of the towel part of the match. I liked everything leading up to that, and to an extent afterwards. I just felt like the throwing of the towel and the internal struggle of like don't do it, Oos. I've got to do it, Oos. Like that was just cheesy to me. But then once the towel was thrown in and we got like the comments of like, this is what he would do to family. Where is he going to stop? Everything else worked. It was just awkward for me to watch that whole towel situation. So that was the only problem I had with the show. So I would still give it an A.
You would give the show an A.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. So this may be the craziest thing that we have heard in 2020 is Matt has graded a WWE pay-per-view higher than me. Wow. I'm speechless. Intern Mark, your thoughts on the show.
I too thought it was a really good show. overall, I would give it a solid B plus. I thought it was better than average. Same thing, the main event, the story they told. I mean, Roman Reigns came out looking like a monster heel, and that's what they were going for, and they nailed it. So, and yeah, the whole thing with throwing the towel in, kind of, we saw that before with was Bob Backlund and Bret Hart.
Nope, Mark, you're wrong. This was an original storyline. No one's ever thrown a towel before at any event. The Usos invented towel throwing specifically for this moment.
Oh, wait a minute, didn't Arnie Skolin threw the towel in for Bob Backlund, or am I mistaken?
No, you're mistaken. 100% wrong.
No, it didn't.
Yeah, and she made Backlund tap out for the world title. Yeah, I don't think that the Usos will be getting an Academy Award for acting anytime soon, but
they're certainly not going to be in the Tooth Fairy 2.
I think there was a Tooth Fairy 2 with
I think so.
With what's his name? Larry the Cable Guy, or whatever they call him.
Yeah. Really?
Yeah,
I'll look that up right now. Oh, sure was. The Tooth Fairy 2 came out in 2012. Yep, starring Larry the Cable Guy in the
Larry the Label Guy.
Larry the Label Guy.
Carry the Label Guy.
Carry the Label Guy. Wow.
Carry the Label Guy. I'd rather go to the dentist than sit through that movie. I bet that was awful.
Yeah.
Wasn't Santino in that movie?
Oh, let me grab it back up here. Cast.
Mark, you were a Santino fan, weren't you?
Santino Marella.
Yeah.
I was a big Santino.
You know, I don't see him listed here. I don't see him listed here.
The Milan Miracle.
I could see you owning the snake.
That snake was the Cobra was so ridiculous, but I did like it. I didn't care for it when it squared off against Mr. Sacco at that Royal Rumble, but it was so ridiculous. It was good. I don't have a snake. Santino Marella snake or Cobra.
Yeah, if he was in it, Matt, I think he was uncredited. He was in Scooby-Doo, WrestleMania Mystery, and Jingle All the Way 2.
That's the one.
That was the
Jingle All the Way 2.
That's the Carry the Label Guy film that he was in.
That was the blockbuster sequel. You remember him?
Yeah.
All right. Let's see here. Nikki says her favorite match was the Intercontinental. Yeah, that one is on my that one's on my best matches of the year. Whether or not it will make the top 5 at the end of the year is to remain to be seen, but I thought that was really good. Nikki gives the show an A. William said he gives the show a B. So that's where I was at. Devin also gives it a B as well. And Nikki also says she didn't like the end, didn't think Roman's beatdown was convincing enough for her. Yeah. And like here I can agree to a point that for some the back and forth with the towel thing could have went on maybe a little bit long. I was just so bought into it at that point that it didn't seem to drag for me. But I can see that it wasn't the most it wasn't the most well acted of things we have.
I think everyone was on the edge of their seat. Is he going to throw it? Don't throw it.
I mean, I
was so upset. I was just screaming at my TV. Oos, no!
No!
He said no.
No.
Don't do it, Oos! He's
Matt,
your
you're
brother.
screaming,
Don't do it, Oos!
You woke up your daughter with your screaming too. I heard that night.
I did. Yeah, that's why it took it away from me. It woke up my daughter screaming and had to put her back down. It was just
Lucky for me, my dog's pretty much deaf at this point, so he didn't hear me yelling at the TV. That was a good thing. It was a really good show. It didn't have a great build, especially on the Raw side, but it's I was pleased with the final result. So, but we have another pay-per-view this upcoming Sunday on the award-winning WWE Network. Of course, NXT TakeOver 31. So apparently, Triple H is apparently okay with with numbering pay-per-views. Vince McMahon not okay, at least with the WrestleManias. So let's start here. Santos Escobar defending the Cruiserweight Championship against Isaiah Swerve Scott. And I'm going to go with Swerve. I've from what I've seen of this feud, there's been a few weeks I've missed NXT, but I've enjoyed it. I like the back and forth, vignette that was on NXT last night, and we've had Swerve on the show, so I'm going to go with former guest of the show, Swerve Scott. Matt, who you got?
Yeah, you always have to go with the former guests. I mean, I think that's
it's only fair.
One of the rules of having a podcast. If you interview someone, they make it big, even though he was in a car with like 17 people on the way to an event.
That was rough. That was a little rough.
Barely hear half the answers. Still counts. He was still on the show. So, yeah, I'm gonna go with Swerve as well. I think that he's getting primed for a push in NXT as well.
Yeah, I think. How about you, Mark?
Well, I'm gonna have to make it 3. I'm gonna go with Swerve as well, because he super nice guy. We met him at some of the local shows here, and yeah, I think it's his time. I think the cruiserweight title really, or the lightweight or whatever we're calling it, I think that'll be his beginning to eventually superstardom, I hope. But yeah, let's go with Swerve.
Yeah, super talented. And if you're following along and want to give your thoughts and predictions on the matches, feel free, and we'll read them out here. Moving on, singles match, Kushida versus VD. I'm going to go with Kushida because fuck VD. Pretty simple. How about you?
Yeah, I like that pick. I'm not a big VD fan either, so might as well.
All right, Mark, how about you?
I'm going to make it 3 again. I'm going to go with Kushida. I think we just haven't scratched the surface yet of his talent, what he has to offer. So I'm going to go with Kushida.
Yeah, I agree. He's one that is definitely a somewhat untapped talent. It feels like in NXT as well. Going back here, Devin says he's going to say the name I know, Shane Strickland, and William says Swerve needs a push. Saw him a few times here at local shows in California. But yeah, I'd definitely like to see because I think when Kushida got signed, it was it felt like a pretty damn big deal, and then it feels like nothing's really kind of happened with him. He's been in some of these tournaments and things like that, but he's never quite gotten the gotten the wins that I thought he would. So then we go to the NXT Women's Championship. Io Shirai defending against Candice LeRae. I feel like this is a really hard one because I think Io's been a fairly strong champion, hasn't had the title super long through this summer, but I feel like Candice is kind of like the next big thing in the NXT women's division. It's just whether or not is this Sunday the time to pull the trigger on her. I say it is. So I'm going to go, and this is actually my only spoiler alert title change of the night. Candice LeRae gets the win in the championship. Matt.
Yeah, I was actually going to pick her as well, just because I think that they want to do something new here with the title and with the draft coming up, which I think we're going to talk about later. Some movement going to be coming as it is, so it makes sense. I think Candice has kind of paid her dues within the company, similar to her husband. And I mean, you put a title on Candice LeRae, I think it holds a lot of weight. Not that it doesn't on Io, but I mean, a big name still, so you're not like giving it on someone that's like up and coming. Candice has kind of earned her stripes, and I think this is her spot.
How about you, Mark?
Yeah, I'll tell you what, if the draft wasn't coming up, I'd probably go with Io, but I have a feeling Candice is going to take the title, and we'll see Io get called up to Raw or SmackDown. But Candace is really, she's been on a roll the last few weeks or few months. So I think it's her time to shine. So I'll go with Candace.
All right, then we go to the NXT North American Championship. Damian Priest defending against Johnny Gargano. Like I said, I have Priest retaining here. I think this match is going to be a really good one. I think both he and Priest bring obviously very different styles to the table. I think Priest out of anybody in NXT right now, and I mean kind of subtract maybe the Undisputed Era guys and and Finn Balor, just because he's already been up on the main roster and had success there. I feel like Damian Priest is kind of everything like the WWE, particularly the guy in charge, like once in a superstar. Big, athletic, has a great look, unique look. So I think Priest should retain here.
Yeah, I mean, seems like it's going to be a clean sweep night here with predictions, because I think it doesn't make much sense to take it off of him. I think he's doing a good job with the belt. I think we all kind of said that it made sense to put it on him in the first place with that. So yeah, to take it off and kill any momentum here is just pointless.
How about you, Mark?
Yeah, same thing. We're going to go with Priest. I think he's a dominant champion. It's too soon to take it off him. I like you said, he's everything that the boss looks for in a wrestler as far as size and appearance. So I'm going to go with Priest for sure. He's going to retain.
Very good. I saw Lou check in. How's it going, Lou? Devin says Priest will win as well. Yeah, stay tuned, everybody. We have some WWE draft discussion coming up here in just a little bit. And then finally, the match that we saw, of course, Kyle O'Reilly become the number one contender a few weeks ago. It is Finn Balor defending the NXT Championship against Kyle O'Reilly, of course, of the Undisputed Era. This one just intrigues me as well because, Finn just got the title and we lost Mark. Finn just got the title and O'Reilly, this is the first we're really kind of seeing him in this singles role, in NXT and in the WWE. But for me, I think you can't move the title off of Finn Balor here quite yet, and I think potentially, the Undisputed Era could be one or some of the people that could be potentially on the move here in a couple of weeks when we talk about that WWE draft. So I'm going to go Finn Balor, of course, to retain.
Yeah. Again, it's all a matter of what makes the most sense. And I don't think that Kyle O'Reilly moves the needle enough as like the champ. I don't think that, he's there just yet. I think that he certainly could be, but like you said, the singles run, that's fairly new. So to put your main title on Kyle O'Reilly, with him being so new to the singles segment, just doesn't really add up. If they did it, I would certainly be shocked, and
sure,
I would kind of give a tip of the cap for WWE NXT doing something new and unexpected. I just don't think they're going to go that far outside the box.
Yeah, I don't think so. Intern Mark, what do you got?
I'm going to go with Finn Balor. I think O'Reilly would make a great champion, but I just don't think the time's right. Balor is going to hold that title for a little bit yet. So,
yeah, William here. William says that Cole will cause a DQ.
I like that.
Yeah, that's an interesting thought on that one. So, and I think that the potential there for Undisputed Era to get involved is always part of the case when you're talking about an Undisputed Era match. Devin has Finn retaining as well. So, any other thoughts on the takeover. This okay. Well, we're getting the unveil of the mystery vignettes that we've seen with like the distorted voice. Who do you guys think it is? I'm gonna stick with one of my original thoughts, and Bo Dallas. I'm gonna say Bo Dallas is gonna be the mystery person, the returning to take back what's theirs. Nikki has Finn retaining as well. But yeah, I'm gonna go with Bo Dallas. How about you, Matt?
I mean, I don't know. I did hear like some talk that it could possibly be like a Paige. I don't think that she's cleared. That would be really cool. But I think I also had said Bo Dallas early on. I think that still makes the most sense. But again, if WWE does something that surprises me, I'm looking forward to that. And other final thought on this is I am actually with Vince. I'm not a big fan of the numbers besides with WrestleMania. So, I liked having like the location, and I get, we really can't do that right now, but, you could still like do some little fun turn, like NXT TakeOver Full Sail, NXT TakeOver Orlando, just like keep changing it a little bit. But
NXT TakeOver FS.
Right, yeah. Training center. So I understand why they have to do it, but I also liked it better when there was just something behind NXT TakeOver besides a number.
Yeah, well, and when they were first on the network, it was like NXT TakeOver Arrival and NXT TakeOver. I think they had some names to them. So I'd like a name over a number, but
sure. And I mean, they did like the In Your House thing, so even that, like, even if they just kept doing like In Your House 2 or something.
I wish it would have been, because we're in October now, Halloween Havoc.
Right.
I mean, you own these freaking trademarks. Why don't you use them?
Yeah,
for God's sake, Scotty says, "Good morning, Scotty. How you doing?" But yeah, Mark, who do you think the mystery person will be?
Well, I'll tell you what, it's really tough. I would really like, I'd really like to see it be Adam Rose, but I don't think there's a chance of that happening. So Bo Dallas makes a lot of sense, seeing that he's a former NXT champion. He hasn't been on TV in I don't know how long. So yeah, I'll go with you, Jim, and say Bo Dallas.
All right, Nikki has to leave. Good evening. Thanks for joining us, Nikki. While you can, if you can jump back on, we're glad to have you. Scotty thinks it could be Ember Moon. Ember would be a great one. I mean, obviously she had the injury.
That's possible.
I haven't heard. The last I heard, she was. It was potentially career threatening. So hopefully it's not, because obviously she's ridiculously talented. So hopefully she can get back here before too long. Now this week, just because other things kind of distracted me during the week, I threw out an Ask 3CT. So if you're following along with us and want to throw a question in the comments wherever you're watching us, so we'll get to that one as well. We had a couple. Charlie asked, how much fish could Bobby Fish fry if Bobby Fish could fry fish? Anybody want to take that one?
Wasn't it Matt Riddle that used to say that all the time?
Something like that, yeah.
That was Matt Riddle. When I first heard that, I just shook my head. That was so bad.
I'll go 12. That 12 feels like a good number of fish.
12 fish. Yeah. I think it would just be the one, and it would be the one that Rusev threw at Dolph Ziggler and Lana during that storyline.
Okay, that sounds about right. Mark, you got an answer on that one?
Man.
All right, then we had
I'd say half a dozen. I think 12 is going to be too much, so maybe
half a dozen is fair.
Yeah. All right. A couple here from Facebook. If you had a chance to wrestle, who would you want to train you? Well, as a typical Big Jim kiss-ass answer, former guest of the show, Danny Cage of the Monster Factory, of course. But and then the WWE shill that I am, the trainers at the world famous WWE Performance Center in Orlando, Florida. So those are my answers. How about you, Matt?
Yeah, Danny Cage is a good answer. We've had a ton of Monster Factory people on the show as well as Danny, and all of them just kind of sing his praises. So I think, if you're starting out, that's definitely a good choice. Otherwise, probably someone that's just really technical. So like Dean Malenko would probably be my choice. Or HBK, just for the chance to train under HBK.
There you go. Intern Mark, how about you?
Well, I'd probably say Tom Pritchard and Jacobs, or maybe Al Snow.
All solid.
Glenn Jacobs and Tom Pritchard are actually training people there in is that Louisville, and Al Snow's training in Ohio Valley. But yeah, either of those three, I'd say.
I saw Devin's answer of Rob at Fort Knox. It's a good one too. And also other guests to the show, Les Thatcher.
There you go.
Good things said about him as well. So there's a lot of good wrestling people. It just, I guess, all kind of depends on what you want your focus to be.
Yeah, no doubt. Scotty here says, not a wrestling question, but how does Dan Quinn still have a job with the Atlanta Falcons? Now, Mark, I don't want you to answer this one. I know football's your area of expertise, but we got to keep this show to the
Let's get ready to jump in.
2-hour time limit. Yeah, I don't know, Scotty. He's had a rough go for a couple of years, and obviously some of the coaching decisions early on this year. He could definitely be one of those guys that gets the can early in the season. Here's one from Mario. Of all the wrestler deaths, whose death hit you the most? I kind of have two answers. One, like from a fan standpoint, I think was Owen Hart's. Just because, like, I remember, like, I was in 8th grade, and my dad had gone to work, and I guess had seen it or heard it on the radio or something, and called me when he got to work, and I was getting ready for school. And I just remember it, like, threw me off the entire day, because I was like, wait, what? Because I didn't get the pay-per-view the night before. And then once we've been involved with with the podcast and independent wrestling and companies around here, when Piper died, because we had just seen him a couple of months before, and and I'd listened to his podcast every week, and he seemed super cool, actually. And again, he introduced himself to us as we were sitting there, preparing our notes for the pre-show, and like, how the fuck, like, how Roddy Piper's introducing himself to us, like, that's not the way it's supposed to go, but that's the kind of guy that he was. So that one messed me up for a couple of days, actually. Matt.
Yeah, Guerrero's was tough for me, just because that kind of came out of nowhere. And then the other one that I remember getting really emotional about was China, just because of, like, how much I knew she struggled, like, after her wrestling career, and just, like, had so much, like, built up anxiety all the time, so much depression. So when she did pass, I remember, like, that one hitting me pretty hard, more so than any others.
For sure. Intern Mark.
Well, I'll tell you, that's a tough one. Guerrero was one, and of course, Bobby Heenan. Roddy Piper, I think it was probably about a month after we met him that he passed. And Piper,
about a month and a half, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, see, his last show, I think, or his last public appearance was in Maryland at MCW, if I'm not mistaken, for Piper's Pit.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
boy, Chris Benoit too. I mean, especially that first night. I think it happened over the weekend, and Monday it was kind of announced, and then the whole entire Raw was dedicated to him. Then, of course, by Tuesday, found out exactly what transpired, and that just kind of took away everything. But Benoit for about 24 hours, that was a tough one. I mean, it's still
yeah.
tough, but
Yeah, I
um,
mean, obviously, when you have a tragedy to that level, and obviously you can be angry and dislike him for what he did, but there were still other, other victims in that as well that you can obviously grieve for. Lou has says Mean Gene as well. He said Eddie, Mean Gene, and he said realize he's not getting any younger. And yeah, I mean it's unfortunately, it's almost kind of become, all, I don't want to say regular, normal, anything like that, but it's unfortunately one of those things. It's so many of them, of the people that, that we grew up watching are no longer with us. Yeah, Mario here says, Gorilla Monsoon and seeing Bobby Heenan get emotional on WCW talking about it. Yeah, it's, that one was obviously a tough moment as
Randy
well.
Savage was tough. The Macho
Yeah,
Man passing was really tough. That was sudden and just out of nowhere.
yeah, it was. Just a couple of more here. Fill in the blank. The faction I would bring back would be height of its powers, DX for me. Height of its powers, Degeneration X. Matt, how about you?
Yeah, I mean that's the easy answer. Just because DX could still be a relevant stable now in wrestling's culture today, probably even more so. A lot more limits that they could push with what they did. So, yeah, DX for me.
Mark, how about you?
I'd go with the Hart Foundation with Bret Hart, the Bulldog, Jim Neidhart, Owen Hart, and Brian Pillman. When those guys were all heels and they were doing the whole anti-America and pro-Canada, that was some of the best heel work I ever saw with those five guys. I thought they were fantastic. That would be great to have them back.
Devin says for him the prior question would be Roddy Piper. Hit him the hardest. He had a chance to meet him and had planned to go to a race that week, and he said still gets him to this day. Lou for the faction says the 80s for Horsemen. Yeah, I mean that one's a great one as well. We'll go one more here. The wrestler you fanboy out when you met them. I don't think I've ever like fanboyed out. I mean, I'll say the one I was most nervous to meet was when I actually met Bret Hart at the Reading Phillies. I almost like I did kind of like freeze up to what I was gonna say to him, but so yeah, I'll go obviously Bret Hart. That was my obviously my favorite wrestler of all time. So for me, it was Bret.
Yeah, I mean, I met Shawn Michaels at one of the Icon shows, so I mean, it was really like fun and exciting driving out to Philly, like knowing like, hey, I'm about to meet Shawn Michaels, but it wasn't like I fanboyed or like couldn't speak or anything. But in terms of the podcast, and Jim, I think you and I talked about this when we were doing it, but when we had Pete Gass on the show.
Yeah.
And I was a big hardcore wrestling title fan back in the Attitude Era. So when we had him on the show, that was kind of like, I think the one that was like, holy shit, like I really loved everything about the hardcore title, and I'm getting to talk to someone that was like involved in that title's history. And that knows the best in the world, Shane McMahon, on a personal level, and
I mean,
so like hearing him tell stories,
you make it easy for us sometimes. You really do.
hearing him tell stories of like hanging out with Shane at his pool and Hulk Hogan like rolls up with like pizza and beer was just kind of like surreal to hear, just like nonchalantly talk about that. Oh yeah, that was like a Wednesday when I was in high school.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, I think back to some of the guests that we've had on, people that were in the WWE in those glory days and in the like the Attitude Era. I mean, we had like the Patriot we had on, like Ryan Shea. I mean, not any huge stars, but it was people that were in that company at the biggest the point in the company's history. So yeah, some of those times a little bit before the interviews and before the show went on the air, it was kind of like, wow, okay, these are people I watched when I was growing up. So it was.
I think we did that when we had Del Wilkes on too, and we were just like, hey, we have like a WWE wrestler. That was the first one we had on the show, I believe.
Well, now sitting here thinking about it, when we did the Global Force show at Harrisburg, and so we had the press passes, and we they directed us to like go down underneath, and they're like, somebody will come get you and direct you where to go. Next thing you know, like Jeff Jarrett comes around the corner and is like, hey guys, how's it going? Come follow me. And we're like,
yeah,
we're like, wait a minute.
This is our usher.
Okay. JEFF is showing us where the hell to go. That's pretty cool. So those kind of moments too do stick out. Intern Mark, who do you got?
Oh boy, let me think here. I would say fanboy, but I tell you, when I met Kurt Angle, and boy, he couldn't have been any nicer. It was after a show, and it wasn't a meet and greet or anything. It was after just a live event show. Super nice. Talked to him for, felt like maybe 10 or 15 minutes. May not have been that long. But I remember at a meet and greet with Eric Bischoff was so nice. I remember, I forget what I had him autographed. It may have been, I don't think it was an action figure, but anyway, I asked him a question as he was autographing. I remember he stopped signing and he looked up at me and actually answered the question. It was very nice. I think I complimented him on the podcast he was doing at the time, and he stopped and made eye contact and responded. I thought that was really cool, because a lot of the guys are just kind of like in a mode where they sign autographs, slide over, they look up for the pictures, autograph. But Bischoff actually made it personal, so I appreciate it.
Yeah. Ryan and I had gone to an SWO show in York, and $1 Million Man was there, and I had a thought a couple of days before. I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna take a basketball for him to sign, because of the bit with the little kid that he dribbled the ball, was it 10 times, and he kicks the basketball out at 9.
Yep.
So I give him the basketball, and I was like, so how many times do people bring you a basketball to sign? He said, honestly, more times than you would imagine. And then he was telling us that 20 years or so after he did that, he said he was in an airport, and this guy comes up to him and taps him on the shoulder and is like, hey, you probably don't remember me. And he's like, no, I don't. He goes, I'm the little kid that you kicked the basketball away from. So he was, and then literally there, because that was before the show, and Ryan and I sat next to him, and we were just watching an indie show. He's sitting there analyzing and talking to us about his thoughts on some of the guys in the matches and this and that. It was I didn't fanboy by that point. That was only a couple of years ago, so we had kind of been in the indie game, and we had met some people, and so the more times you do it, not that it isn't any less cool, but you kind of get over that shock of, oh my God, I'm sitting here talking to so and so. But it was still surreal. We're driving home, and I'm like, Ryan, we just sat next to and talk to the $1 million man for the last 2 hours. Like, at no point when we started doing this show did I ever think like something like that was a thing that was going to happen. Like, it just, so like for me, because I just thought I just like talking wrestling and we're just going to talk about wrestling with it. I never had any idea that it was going to morph into some of the things that we've done, which still just absolutely blows me away.
Yeah, for sure. I remember Lauren and I went to one of the Wizard World Comic Cons to meet Daniel Bryan. And at the time, the Bellas were not back in wrestling. So, like, they had their stint, but they were, like, kind of doing the indie scene. So, they had a Q&A, and it was Daniel Bryan and Ricky the Dragon Steamboat were up on the panel answering questions. And Lauren and I were sitting kind of off to the side, and this door opens, and Bree comes and just sits next to us at the end of the aisle there. And so during the Q&A, this one kid asks Daniel if he ever had any trouble telling the Bella twins apart. And the whole crowd laughs, and Bree turned to me and Lauren, and she was like, "What was the question?" And and then Daniel was like, "Oh, well, I don't know if you know this, but one of the sisters had some work done. So it's pretty easy to tell them apart these days."
That's pretty good. That's pretty good. All right, we are going to pause here for a quick commercial break. Stick with us on the other side. We have plenty more to talk about, including the WWE Draft 3 Count Thursday live.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
Three Count Thursday is sponsored by Arena Eats. Log on to the website arenaeats.app. That's arenaeats.app for the ultimate fan experience. At your favorite sports venue, Arena Eats mobile app, pre-order, express pickup, and in-seat delivery. How do you place your order? You're listening to NGSC Sports Radio. Hear us live on ngscsports.com, where you can get awesome analysis on all things sports. Or check out our podcasts on iHeartRadio, Spreaker, Apple Podcasts, TuneIn, and much more. For our latest videos, subscribe to NGSC Sports YouTube channel. Follow us on Twitter at NGSC Sports, and like us on Facebook. NGSC Sports. We never stop. Welcome back, 3 Count Thursday. We are live here, Facebook and Periscope, as well as our YouTube channel. Matt and intern Mark are here with me. We hope that Ryan and Tim are enjoying their night off. We hope to see them back here with us next week. Just catching up on the NFL game, the Jets and the Broncos. Apparently, like, Sam Darnold had like the run of his career. Led the Jets down to a touchdown lead, and I think he just broke his collarbone. So, like, that's about the most New York Jets thing that can happen to you. But it stinks. If you're with us live here, we appreciate you joining and interacting with us. Keep doing that. We appreciate that, and I'm glad you're.
Speaking of interaction, I'm going to let the 3CT audience here choose my next beverage. So I have from Bolero Snort Brewery the Bull and Ted Double IPA.
Ooh.
Or I have from Barrier Brewing the Wonderstruck New England IPA. So first comment, I'll drink either one.
All right, so it was announced this past weekend that the WWE draft is coming up, and I believe let me check the dates on it so I'm not wrong here. Next Friday night, October the 9th on SmackDown on Fox. And Matt, you got your answer there.
All right.
Going with the Wonderstruck. So Lou, thanks for picking for Matt. I switched over to
It's a good one.
a little light action. Friday night, October 9th on SmackDown, and then continuing Monday, October the 12th on Monday Night Raw. So to the best of our knowledge, it seems like it is just Raw and SmackDown superstars that are involved. So first part of the question, Matt, we'll start with you, then we'll go to intern Mark. And to the listeners, should NXT, which we've been told, and as we've seen on Survivor Series and Royal Rumbles and things like that, should NXT be involved in the draft?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, especially given what NXT is supposed to be in terms of like the developmental part of WWE. You know, we always talk about the call-ups. So if you're having a draft, you would think that that roster would be instrumental in the growth and the future of either of the brands.
How about you, Mark? Uh-oh. Mark, you with us? You frozen up on us, intern Mark? He looks frozen. Uh-oh. Womp, womp, womp.
We got the spinning wheel of death. Oh, he's back. He's back.
I can hear you and I can see you.
Mark, should NXT be involved in the draft?
Yes. Absolutely.
Yeah, I agree.
You know, it's like this. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, kind of.
Okay, I'm back again. I had the spinning wheel of death, but I can hear you and I can see you.
Good.
All right.
Okay.
I think. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. I was saying, I think I think NXT should be involved. I think WWE recently has been doing a pretty good job of keeping the brands separate, so it actually feels special when you have a draft. So I hope that continues. And NXT definitely should be part of it. And I would like to see Raw or SmackDown superstars potentially being transferred or drafted down to NXT, not down to, but over to NXT as well.
Yeah, and that's kind of the thought I had to it as well. Is you know, whether or not people people agree or disagree, or they have mixed opinions on whether or not WWE really views themselves as in a rating war with AEW or not. Like, that they want to have higher ratings than their competition on a Wednesday night. So when you have this opportunity, you've already told us via Survivor Series and on Royal Rumble and things like that and various times throughout the year, that NXT is part of the company, that they're not just developmental. They're not just a territory. They are, they are part of the company. So why not have them be involved in the draft and have the Undisputed Era come up to go to Monday Night Raw, or Io Shirai go to SmackDown, or have AJ Styles go to NXT, and stuff like that. So I absolutely think that that NXT should be a part of the draft. But also, and this is one thought I had. Lou says, who gets drafted to Raw Underground? Brawny Strowman. I think Braun Strowman fits the absolute best he's ever fit anywhere. When he's been on Raw Underground here as of late, but who are not necessarily one, but some of the superstars that you would like to see move in this draft, and where would you like to see them go? And even we can even fantasy book a little bit, even though they're not officially part of the draft. And if you would like to see somebody go to NXT from either Raw or SmackDown, who would you like to see move? And I think for me, the first one that comes to mind, and I know he just went over to SmackDown, in the last couple of months, is AJ Styles going back to Monday Night Raw. For one, I feel like Monday Night Raw really is kind of lacking in star power. I know you have Orton, I know you have McIntyre, but it doesn't, on a 3-hour show. And this is always why when you did the initial draft and things like that, like Raw always gets more picks. Like they always get like 3 picks to SmackDown's 2, because you have 3 hours. So I feel like you need to have more star power on Raw than you do on SmackDown. So I would like to see AJ Styles move to Monday Night Raw. Devin, do you mean Kevin Owens to Raw? Because I think he is on SmackDown now. So you think you would want him to move to Raw? Matt, how about you? Any superstars off the top of your head you'd want to see move?
I mean, Owens is still on Raw, isn't he?
I thought he's on SmackDown, because I think he has the KO show tomorrow night with Alexa Bliss. Let me look it up here quick. He is Kevin Owens. Oh, it says it on his Wikipedia. It says
on Wikipedia. It says he's on Raw.
But I know, because the WWE just released today that he's gonna have the KO show on SmackDown tomorrow. Okay, on the WWE.com he's listed on SmackDown. So maybe they're drafting him early.
Yeah, well, spoilers. In terms of people on Raw that I think fit better on SmackDown, as I'm looking at the roster here, the main one that jumped out to me, not that it fits better, that I would like to see it, would be Aleister Black moving from Raw to SmackDown. Just because I think SmackDown would have more room for him to do stuff than Raw does. I could see him being in a feud with, for the IC title, something along those lines. And if we're talking female wrestlers that I want to see moved, I would like to see Bianca Belair on SmackDown.
Okay. Okay. So here we go. I pulled up the release from WWE today. It says no one on SmackDown has been able to shake Alexa Bliss from the hold the Fiend has over her. So perhaps it's time to give someone from Raw a try. Kevin Owens will host a special edition of the KO show this Friday as part of the Brand to Brand Invitational. So you guys are right. Devin, you were right that Kevin Owens is a part of Monday Night Raw. That is my bet, because I had just seen that today. And so that's why I was like, wait a minute. I thought he is on SmackDown, but no, he is a part of Monday Night Raw. Devin would like to see him move to SmackDown. Oh yeah, because he was just involved with Alistair and the Raw Underground and all that. So yeah.
I like Williams' choice of Sasha at NXT. I think that's really cool.
Yeah.
And I would, as I continue to look over the roster here, I think that Ember Moon, when she comes back, would be a better fit on Raw than SmackDown. So someone make that happen.
Yes, I agree. Intern Mark, how about you?
Well, I'll tell you what, I wouldn't mind seeing the Undisputed Era. Initially, I would think they would be better suited on Raw, but with Retribution, maybe they're better off on SmackDown. Eventually maybe the Hurt Business versus the Undisputed Era would be something. And But I was thinking Cesaro and Shinsuke maybe on Raw too would be an interesting trade to mix things up, and then put the Street Profits over on SmackDown.
Yeah, and I would definitely like to see the Undisputed Era to come up to either Raw or SmackDown, and I think again, given that you kind of need to give Monday Night Raw a little extra star power, a little bit different feel. I think them going to Monday Night Raw could be pretty solid for them. As far as as far as the women go, I mean, I don't think Raw could afford to lose Bianca Belair. I think that was a great call by you, Matt. But I think the women's division on SmackDown from a single standpoint feels so much stronger. I think they're trying to do a lot of tag team stuff with the women on Raw, but I feel like the problem is you just don't have enough women at your disposal, and you broke up the biggest women's tag team that you have on Monday Night Raw with the two Conics splitting up. But I mean, and I think seeing Io Shirai move to either Raw or SmackDown would be fantastic. Because I think any time you can get the women's wrestling featured as much as possible, and they've been absolutely killing it as of late, the more the merrier, as far as I'm concerned. But yeah, I mean, obviously we have 1 week of TV, tomorrow night SmackDown and Monday Night Raw before the draft starts next Friday night. So if there's any like preemptive moves or anything like that, we will obviously talk about them next week. Devin says, I think we're going to see the U.S. and Intercontinental title switch brands. You can call me out if I was wrong. I have a gut feeling. I feel like you not every year, because then it would become too predictable, but I feel like you do see titles switch brands every so often when you do these drafts. I honestly think, and I'm probably going to be wrong on this, that you could almost merge the U.S. and Intercontinental title, have them defended across brands. Same with the tag titles. Like, just you're in an era where, for obvious reasons, there's limited depth to the roster. So having so many individual titles on both brands doesn't kind of make a lot of sense at this point. So to me, I think that one of the best course of actions. But yeah, I think something like that, and the only way to do it would be the IC and the US title. But do you guys? So then you would almost have to move the entire Hurt business, I would say, to SmackDown. But do you guys see that as a possibility?
I mean, I wouldn't say it's impossible. It would be cool if it happened. But again, cautious optimism, as always.
Yeah,
Lou
I think
says
it's a little too early to. Oh, go ahead, Jim.
Oh no, go ahead. You can finish because Lou has a kind of a follow-up question.
Okay, I was just gonna say I think it's a little too early to move the Hurt business. They're really starting to get some traction and make a name for themselves as a group. So I think it'd be silly to move them or even split them up at this point.
Well, especially because there's the the battle with the rumored COVID positive Retribution that's still coming down the line. Lewis says, would you guys want to see one world champion like the old days? I would have no problem with it. I mean, I think having a brand specific champion isn't necessarily a bad thing, because it does give members of each brand kind of something to fight for. But if you just had, like, say it was Drew McIntyre, you unify the US title and the WWE title, or Roman Reigns. and they can be on both brands and fight people from both brands. But I think too sometimes then you almost run the risk of, it's not that things aren't confusing at times as they are, but do you want to have the champion on both shows all the time? And if not, which show gets slighted? Which one gets slighted more than others? Do you do it like 1 month on, 1 month off, where September he's competing on the SmackDown side, in October he's on the Raw side, and back and forth and back and forth. So while having, one champion or one roster is ideal, when you have the luxury of riches that the WWE does, I think you can get away with having two champions.
You can. I mean, I never really minded when they used to have it back when it was the WWE champion and then the world heavyweight champion. Doing it that way as opposed to the Raw versus SmackDown championships. So, I mean, it kind of just makes that hunt all inclusive, because you never know who's going to, be in the title picture. But breaking it down the way they do is probably what's best if we want to see more wrestlers get more opportunity. So it's kind of that double-edged sword. It's really cool to have the one title with Chase, but then what happens to anyone not in the title picture? They don't put as much emphasis these days like they used to on the IC title, on the European, now US title, the secondary titles like that, the 24/7 title and the hardcore title being the same thing pretty much. So like we wouldn't see, those feuds built the way they are if we kind of narrowed it down like that, unfortunately.
Mark, any thoughts?
On the world titles, I'll tell you, at first when they had, I think it was Lesnar was the champion, kind of going back and forth in the early 2000s when they did that brand split for the first time. I kind of enjoyed it, but then after a while it was kind of not so much, but it did make the belt feel very special. So I'm okay with them keeping Universal and World Champion, and even the IC belt and the US title. It'd be nice to have maybe a unification match at WrestleMania, and then defend them individually, so someone potentially could take the US belt and the champion could still have the IC belt, or vice versa. But I'm okay with the two champions, one on each brand. Every once in a while, it'd be nice to have them wrestle, just to see who the winner would be.
Yeah, definitely. All right. There's been a little bit of buzz online as of late, and if you've been following along on SmackDown, you've kind of seen this rivalry between Otis and Tucky and the
Thank you.
No problem. And Miz and Morrison surrounding the Money in the Bank. And it kind of has a feel that the WWE maybe somewhat considering moving on from Otis as the Money in the Bank winner.
Oh yes, Chucky, we have our top suspect.
And potentially moving the briefcase to either Miz or Morrison.
Tomato chips.
So what is your guys' thoughts on Otis as the Money in the Bank briefcase winner, the journey so far? And I'm trying to remember. I don't know if I'm sure they've done it at some point where the briefcase has changed hands. But if the briefcase would change hands to a Miz or a Morrison or somebody else at this point, like, are you going to be upset to see Otis lose that opportunity, or has it kind of cooled off from the moment of him winning the Money in the Bank?
I hated it when it happened, but here's the thing: you're just setting a nasty precedence here if you do something like this. Like, when has WWE, like, with something this big, done the mea culpa and let's fix it? Like, aside from, I don't know, Daniel Bryan, when they tried to put him on the Wyatt family the first time, and we're like, yeah, we fucked up. Here's what you guys were clamoring for that we didn't listen to. Guess you really did want it. So
Spadudios.
right. So at this point, for them to kind of backpedal, when like that was kind of the unexpected thing. I mean, we've seen worse people have the briefcase. Like, just let him have his cash in. He doesn't have to win. But to take it away from him now, it's just they're going to open up a whole can of worms moving forward if they put that briefcase in the wrong hands again. Because people are going to be like, well, you did it already. Why does Damian Sandow have to have it and cash in and lose to John Cena?
Right.
Why do we have to give this briefcase to Randy Orton again? So you made your decision. It was a shitty one, but you have to stick with it.
Yeah, I feel like, the minute you do that, it's the Money in the Bank version of you guys are the authority. Because anytime you do something that they don't like, it's just going to automatically be people are just going to get pissy and get mad, and they're not going to like the fact that their favorite guy didn't win the Money in the Bank.
WWE fans are very fickle. You cannot open Pandora's box like this.
I feel like that's a soundbite I need to get, is Daniel Bryan saying fickle.
Yeah, it's going to backfire if they do that. I understand their logic behind it, but you made your shit sandwich. You got to eat it and force a smile.
Ryan brought up a great point when we were reviewing Clash of Champions the other day, that you had like a minute and a half period that Orton and McIntyre were both in the back of the ambulance. Where the fuck was Tucky and Otis? Slam the doors. Guess what? Quick, hand the briefcase to the ref, slam the doors. You're WWE champion. And then you can get the hell out of there. Which, would have been freaking wild to see it.
Probably their best out to this whole thing, because then you can just have them drop it quickly.
Sure.
The next guy.
Yeah, have fucking Drew come out with a referee, Claymore his face off, and then you move on. And Otis has that kind of crowning moment, and that would also kind of get that could be your gateway into having Otis move to Monday Night Raw, where Mandy Rose is now as well. Mark, your thoughts on the Otis Money in the Bank?
Boy, good old Otis. I'll tell you, I was really surprised. I'm still when he won the Money in the Bank, and it started to grow on me, and I liked it. But I'll tell you what, now I think he's held on to it a little too long. And I'm not saying he should have won the title, but kind of I lost some interest in him over the last few months. I'll be honest with you. I just don't see him beating Roman Reigns or Drew McIntyre right now. Oh
my God! Can you imagine if he had beat the Fiend?
Oh wow! Yeah, you thought Goldberg was that?
Jeez.
Yeah, that would have been really bad. I can't even think of like a storyline, except for you said maybe with the ambulance, but where they're going to have Otis come in. It just doesn't make sense to have him take the title off of Reigns or McIntyre. So, I think The Miz would be a good option if he somehow weaseled his way into the Money in the Bank. They did that with Mr. Kennedy. They took that from him and gave it to Edge. And Edge cashed in on The Undertaker on on SmackDown.
I was gonna say, I'm sure they've done it before.
And Mr. Kennedy isn't on the level Otis is in terms of like Mr. Kennedy takes it seriously to an extent. I mean,
yeah.
he was in the David Arquette documentary.
Who?
Yeah.
A former WCW champion. How dare I speak any negativity out there? And star of one of the best movies ever made, Ready to Rumble.
That's one of Ryan's favorites too.
That absolutely is.
See, that I saw on opening weekend.
I mean that's okay. I mean that's at least a wrestling, like Ryan and I, and not that it wasn't a bad movie. Ryan and I went and saw Fighting with My Family opening weekend. That's a wrestling movie. I feel a little bit different, like Ryan going on a weekly basis to see the Tooth Fairy. That's just
I mean that was kind of a low point in his life.
Yeah, just
ridiculous.
He was going to hosses and sneaking salad bar into his pockets just to snack on at the movies.
just sitting there fucking out pieces of lettuce.
Ham cubes in the one
Got
pocket.
pockets full of ham
Warm
cubes,
bacon
yeah.
dressing. Handfuls of ham cubes. And that warm bacon dressing that he really likes. He probably had some of that.
Oh, he does. Yeah, he actually puts it into a soup cup and then drinks it with a straw. It's really, really off-putting when you watch it happen in
Yeah,
person.
I mean, he would tell the people at the movie theater, "Don't put butter on the popcorn." He would just
I got it
covered. Sprinkle it over the top.
Well, I know we're making jokes right now, but that would actually be delicious. Are you kidding me? Hot bacon dressing on popcorn? I think I just found my football snack for the weekend. Thank you, Matt.
We're on the
Well, don't thank me. Thank Ryan.
Yeah, actually, yeah. Thank you, Ryan.
Ryan's love for the hot bacon dressing.
But yeah, we'll see where it goes. But I kind of do agree with you, Matt, that especially in the social media era, that opening this door kind of could be problematic. Lou says maybe he defends it against both of them, gets a little more of a push. I could honestly see it more that he uses it for he and Tucky to get a tag team title shot.
Yeah.
Or something like he uses it for Mandy Rose to get a women's title shot. Like he's kind of like this selfless guy that doesn't need to do it for himself.
Okay. So, I mean, yeah, they didn't technically have the women's cash in, so he transfers.
Yeah,
and I mean, Tim, you have a briefcase, right? Do you have the contract? Like, what does it say?
I didn't get the deluxe briefcase, so it did that one didn't come with the contract inside. But also too, like, and I still think that that Otis, I feel like them, and obviously they knew it was coming, but depending how far in advance they had the idea of Otis being the Money in the Bank winner, I feel like the idea of him being the quick turnaround cash in was where they were going, and then it was like, oh crap, Becky has to forfeit the title to Asuka. So like that kind of changed the ball game as well. So let's keep moving along here. John Cena was on Late Night with Jimmy Fallon this week. Tonight Show Jimmy Fallon discussed he has a children's book out, but when asked about his wrestling future, he said that they have a very young audience in WWE, lots of kids and family. As my in-ring career with WWE is not as active, although not over, I wanted to continue sending messaging to those younger viewers. So John Cena has, he is on record and saying that he is not done wrestling, obviously not nearly as active as he used to be. So, and obviously, I still think that at some point he is going to get championship reign number 17, whether it's a couple of month reign or it's like literally his final match. Because I think at times, like, that was kind of a hypothesized end to the Undertaker's career, that he would get a title shot, win it, and then forfeit it and walk away. That kind of almost makes more sense for a person like John Cena. And like, I just feel like the WWE loves to break records.
Mm-hmm.
and establish like new current updated records. So the idea of somebody having number 17, I feel like, why not do it to John Cena, the modern day Hulk Hogan, if you will? So I still think that's going to be a thing. But we'll go to Matt, obviously, and Mark. Who do you like? How do you envision, or what do you want to see like John Cena's role over the next year or two be in the WWE? And is there any person or persons that you would want to see him come back and face? Obviously, we just came off of the Firefly Funhouse match at WrestleMania against The Fiend, and what was a pretty fun thing. But is there anything else that that you would kind of want to see him do before he finally does hang him up?
Well, Jim, I'm sure you remember last time I said that John Cena will be wrestling the main event of WrestleMania against Randy Orton and Ric Flair. Winner takes 17, and that's the end of that. So I do think that would be a fun match if they ever went that route. If not, it's kind of tough to say at this point what Big Match John, what kind of big match he would even get up for. He doesn't really fit in to either of the pictures with Roman or with Drew, in my opinion. So, do we see him kind of take on a lesser role, kind of like he reinvigorated the U.S. title for that reign? Does he insert himself into something like that? Call me crazy. What if John Cena went to NXT and kind of
sign me up,
started like a feud down there, put over someone down in NXT in that regard? So I think there are endless possibilities with what John could do. And he loves the business enough that I think he would be open to doing something like that. We've always said that when John goes out, it's going to be putting someone over, like he did with The Fiend in the Firefly Funhouse match. So who would I like to see him get involved with? Push Adam Cole to the moon. Put John Cena in a feud with Keith Lee. Push him to the moon. Someone in that regard, someone fresh out of NXT that needs that push. I would love to see him do that. And then just kind of take the Rock route and go back into Hollywood, because John is a good actor in the films that he's in. He knows his niche and he fits it well.
Yeah, I mean, although I feel like the Keith Lee spot, I feel like that's got Brock Lesnar written all over it. After that moment at the Royal Rumble, like.
Sure, but is Brock really that guy to do that?
Probably not, but I mean, at some point, and I don't know how much Brock has left, and obviously, I think all of anything to do with Brock also hinges on when fans get back in the building, because I don't think we see Brock back before there's fans, financially for the WWE as well. But like, I feel like the relationship that Vince and Brock have. Vince could be like, "Hey, we really want to do big things with this guy. That you could get Brock to do it." Like from the Money in the Bank through the WrestleMania this year, like that was a Brock Lesnar that I truly didn't think we were ever really going to get. Like, the Brock Party stuff and the boom box and the run dancing in the ring, and just the way that he sold and acted everything in the Rumble. So I think sky is somewhat the limit with Lesnar as well at this point in his career. I think there's a lot of intrigue there, but yeah, definitely. Like I would love to see Cena in an NXT role. That'd be fantastic. Enter Mark.
Let's see. As far as Cena returning, it's going to happen at some point. I'm sure it won't be full time, but he'll come back and he'll take his 17th world title. It's going to happen. It's just a question of when. If the fans were back in time for WrestleMania in the arenas, I could almost even Cena and Reigns at a WrestleMania match. And Ric Flair, honestly, if even though it's not necessarily considered him losing the title or winning the title, he had his title reigns, I think, were up into the 20s, even though they're not really recognized as actual the title changing hands. It happened in Puerto Rico with, I think, Carlos Colon, and it happened in Japan at least once or twice. But yeah, he'll break Flair's 16-time record, there's no doubt. And Cena coming back, I mean, NXT would be perfect. I don't know if that'll ever happen, but boy, that would be ideal. If I had to see him come back to a brand, that would be my pick.
Yeah, I mean, sadly, if I had to venture a guess sitting here tonight, my guess would be that it probably does not happen. But you know, I also agree that I don't think we've seen the end of John Cena in the WWE. Just the how much we see him will remain to be seen. Just a couple of things here, guys, on the news and rumors, and then we're actually going to get out of here a little bit earlier than normal this week. But it was we've seen Matt Cardona, of course, formerly known as Zack Ryder in AEW on a limited run, but he was a guest on the Pro Wrestling Junkies podcast, answered questions from fans during the interview. Who he was signed to a short-term contract with AEW, gave an update on his status with the company. He said, quote, "That's a place to be right now, to be there even for a month. Do a couple of matches was a lot of fun. It was great to just be out there and be myself again. Hopefully we'll do it again soon." So Cardona, I guess, is kind of a free agent. You know, he had the little interaction there with Cody. So I don't know if or when he'll be back in AEW, but something to keep watch of. And then also talking about other free agents and potential landing spots. In an interview with TV insider Heath Slater, formerly Heath Slater, now just known as Heath, talked about how several WWE stars have expressed interest in joining Impact Wrestling. He said, quote, "They know when they are locked down under contract, they can't get out. That's the bottom line. They may have well signed yourself up for the military. But guys that did get released and guys from other companies have been texting and calling and asking about Impact. The WWE crew, some of them have been like, man, that'd be awesome to do this. But I still got a year and a half or another year. I'm like, remember what you're saying, because years go by pretty fast. So if you really want to, I might know a guy. There's interest there for sure." Heath also talked about which current free agent he would like to see join Impact. He said, "I would like to see Joe Hennig." Also, obviously, of course, Curtis Axel over here.
Old man Axel.
Old man Axel.
Of all people.
He said, "I'd like to see him come over to Impact. I've talked to him, but he's doing his thing right now and enjoying life." He said he is one of his best friends and a hell of a worker. I mean, that's a guy that you know, I feel like that not that he was ever as perfect as his old man, but I feel like that was one they kind of missed the ball with, and I feel like the whole Paul Heyman guy thing kind of, I don't want to say it hindered him, but like I think at that time they were kind of trying to do like multiple Heyman guys, because I think it was like Axel, Ryback, Cesaro, like, and it just none of them worked. So I feel like that kind of got this stink on him, and then they did like the Rybaxel tag team, and then they did like Axel. They did like Axel and Bo Dallas in the tag team, where they were doing like the Hogan Savage like the Mega Power Six. So like I feel like he very quickly went from like somebody coming on the up and up, like with the Intercontinental title run, stuff like that, to somebody that just unfortunately almost went to like sideshow comedy act. And then once you kind of get painted into that corner, I felt like it was hard to get out of it. He's a guy that I thought could have benefited from going down or going to NXT, because like, again, that's more of just kind of a wrestling product versus anything else. And I think he was a talented wrestler, but on the main roster just kind of slipped apart. But is there anybody on the WWE roster now that you look at and go, I'd really like to see them in Impact? Obviously, we've seen the Gallows and Anderson go there. Heath is over there. There's a couple other guys. Is there anybody that you look at the roster and go, I would like to see them over in Impact?
Apollo Crews, I think would make sense over there. He's kind of got that look. I am a little disappointed that Impact no longer has like the really like close but not exact names, like going from Heath Slater to just Heath.
Yeah.
I mean that used to be the joke of like, hey, what's Calvin Arsel doing in the Impact Zone? So it's unfortunate that we don't get to see that anymore. But I think Apollo Crews could do good things on that roster. I did tell myself I was going to start watching Impact this week. I didn't, but next week. But I think that there are people on the WWE roster that, you know, could go over there and do good things. Dolph Ziggler, another one. I think could be a good fit in the Impact Zone. Don Swizzler.
If he's not the guy returning to NXT, I think Doe Ballas would be great.
My favorite was always Bork Laser. What's Bork Laser doing in the Impact Zone?
Oh, Bork Laser. But yeah, it's and obviously this is one that I 100% don't think that we'll ever see it, but I know on their podcast, Gallows and Anderson keep saying that they want Uncle Allen to come over there before he retires. I still think AJ Styles is retiring with the WWE. I don't, and it's that to me that's not me, WWE super fan, taking a shot at Impact Wrestling. I just don't see at this point AJ making that move. Like it like, you know, he did the TNA. He was like one of the founding fathers of TNA. And, you know, and he did the Ring of Honor thing, and then he did the Japan thing, and then he finally got to the WWE. I don't see him making that. I don't see him making that move to Impact. Intern Mark, is there anybody that you would like to see make that move over there?
I'll tell you what, stranger things have happened because Ric Flair retired, ended up going to Impact. So it could
That's
happen
true.
with Styles. I'd say it's very well, I'll tell you what, I didn't have anybody in mind, but then when you mentioned Apollo Crews and Dolph Ziggler, I think both of them would excel over there, and maybe that's what their career needs. Kind of like what Christian did when he left WWE for a few years, went to Impact, and came back and won heavyweight championships in WWE. But there's really, I really can't think of anybody else that I'd want to see over there. And Impact, I've been watching not a whole lot recently, but I started watching it more when Jordan Grace and Tessa Blanchard were there. That's what kind of got my interest again to watch Impact. So, but from what I saw last time I watched it, which has been about a month or two, they were better than what I remembered. So there's some hope for them.
Yeah, I catch it every now and again. Like I had watched it there for a couple of weeks with the whole EC3 thing and whether or not he was going to end up there. And I guess he's kind of doing a free agent thing of sorts. So it's been probably about 3 weeks, maybe a month since I've caught an episode of Impact. I might catch a couple episodes this month because I think they have Bound for Glory coming up at the end of October. So I might jump in on that. But I mean, they definitely have talent, and I think, you know, if there's any women in the WWE that aren't kind of super thrilled with their position, I mean, I think like, I think like a Dana Brooke or something could go over and kind of do wonders, do really well in the Impact Women's division, which is pretty strong. But if there anybody else either you guys have, otherwise we're going to close this one up. Yeah, that's going to do it. We're going to get out here just a little bit early. Thank you to everyone who asked questions for the Ask 3CT segment, and everyone who interacted with us here live on the show. Matt, go ahead and plug whatever you want to plug.
Yeah, so Woman of the Week is still going on. So this week we are featuring Roxy on our Instagram page. So go over that at 3 Count Thursday on Instagram. Give her a follow. She's got some really cool shots. We put up an action shot tonight. Action Shot Thursday used to be a thing that we did on 3 Count Thursday Instagram. We brought it back this week. So we give her a follow. Give all the awesome people that we plug on there a follow. We got some sponsors that we give shout outs to, but we appreciate all the follows that we get. Just stay tuned with the at 3 Count Thursday Instagram as we do our Woman of the Year feature. This year, more than ever, giving back, donating to charity is going to be important to us. So make sure you're liking the posts so these awesome women get a chance to donate to the charity of their choosing. My Twitter handle is right here. No Notre Dame again this weekend. Sixers are done. Phillies, Flyers are done. Eagles might as well be done. So I'm calm on Twitter these days. Being a father has kind of toned me down. Otherwise, I just kind of talk about movies. It is October, so I will probably start live tweeting like horror movies that I'm watching. But again, appreciate the follows. Appreciate the
Tooth Fairy. That movie was terrifying.
Yes. Although if you are looking for some
for all the wrong
movies
reasons.
produced by WWE Films, Oculus is a very good one, so check that one out.
All right, intern Mark, you got anything to plug, sir?
Boy, let me think here. I don't have a whole lot. Let's think here. How about tomorrow? Hershey Park in the Dark is open. Isn't that exciting? So because of this whole COVID carrying on, Hershey Park's extending their Halloween, and it's starting 2 weekends early. So it's going to be the whole month of October. So that's exciting. Not that Hershey needs any publicity, nor will I get anything from that, but that is exciting for me. I'm a big fan of Hershey Park, especially in the dark. And the zoo will be open, so that's exciting in the dark.
Very cool.
So we can enjoy that the whole month of October.
What was that, Matt?
Hershey Park in the Dark or Hollow.
What's the cost for Hershey Park in the Dark?
Boy, I'd have to. Let me take a look. I think tonight actually might be the last night to get discounted tickets, Matt. If you wanted to go, and I think your little one would be free.
Okay.
So, but if you and the missus wanted to go, I might actually be able to get you. I think I get one free ticket or with my pass. I could take a look and see what I can do for you. But I think if you buy them online, I think tonight's the last night for discounts on them.
Friends in high places.
It's a good time. That's
All right. Well, that is gonna do it for us this week. We we thank everyone who tuned in and joined us live and played along with us. We always appreciate that each and every week. Make sure you go to 3countthursday.com. That is our homepage. Check out our home network, NGSC Sports. Follow us on all of our social media. And until next week, stay safe, stay smart, and go for the pin. Three Count Thursday is sponsored by Arena Eats. Log on to the website arenaeats.app. That's arenaeats.app for the ultimate fan experience. At your favorite sports venue, Arena Eats mobile app, pre-order, express pickup, and in-seat delivery. How do you place your order?